Enter a world where reality warps and fear feels familiar. Each eerie tale blurs the line between nightmare and truth, inviting you to explore the strange, the supernatural, and the psychologically twisted. Dim the lights and take a glimpse into madness. Picture an ordinary woman caught in an extraordinary moment of decision. The world has convinced her that pain is normal, that fear is deserved. Tonight, something will change on an abandoned train platform that appears only to those desperate enough to find it. For tonight, she'll take a glimpse into madness. Rain slashed against the windshield in angry sheets, nature's fury matching the storm raging inside the car. Claire huddled against the passenger door, making herself as small as possible. Her boyfriend's voice thundered louder than the deluge outside. "You think you're some kind of victim? You're lucky I even put up with you." The words stung, more than they should have, more than they used to. Tonight was different. Tonight, something inside her had finally cracked. "Maybe I don't need anyone to put up with me," she whispered. The car jerked to a violent stop. His eyes widened, shocked that she'd dare speak back. "What did you just say?" "I said I don't need." The slap came without warning. Her head snapped sideways, vision blurring as pain exploded across her cheek. The world tilted, then froze. He jumped out into the rain and yanked open her door, fingers digging into her arm as he pulled her into the downpour. "Go on, run! That's what you're good at." Claire stumbled onto the glistening sidewalk as the car's tires screamed away, leaving her alone in the midnight deluge. Rain mixed with tears on her burning cheek as she limped forward. No destination in mind, just away. Minutes, or hours. Later, her feet found concrete steps leading downward, an abandoned subway entrance, half hidden by overgrown weeds and decades of neglect, a refuge from the storm, at least. Down she went, into a tunnel that smelled of stagnant water and rotting vegetation. The darkness wrapped around her like a shroud, broken only by the occasional flicker of dying emergency lights. At the end of the passageway, something glowed, faint and golden. Claire emerged onto a platform that seemed wrong, too pristine, too antiquated. Brass fixtures gleamed in the light of actual gas lamps, casting wavering shadows across marble floors. A sign, ornate and polished, identified the location, Platform B. Beneath it, smaller letters proclaimed one way only. And there, perfectly still and silent, waited a train. Not the modern, graffiti-streaked subway cars Claire knew, but something from another era altogether. Polished wood and brass, windows glowing with warm light from within. A man stood beside the open door, the conductor. His uniform was immaculate, his posture perfect, his smile reassuring, and yet somehow empty. "You may board if you like," he said, voice calm and melodious. "You're free to leave any time the train stops." Claire hesitated, then stepped forward. The gentle warmth beckoned. Safety called. She boarded. The interior welcomed her with plush velvet seats and the soft strains of classical music drifting from an actual gramophone. The car was spotless, elegant, safe. Claire sank into a seat, her sodden clothes immediately beginning to dry in the gentle heat. For what felt like the first time in years, she breathed, deep, unrestricted. Maybe this is what I needed, she thought. Just time away. The train began to move. No announcement, no jolt, just smooth, silent motion, carrying her away from everything she'd left behind. Minutes passed in blessed silence before the train began to slow. Outside the windows, city streets appeared, strangely blurred as if viewed through Vaseline-smeared glass. The conductor appeared in the doorway between cars. "First stop," he announced. "You may exit if you like." Claire glanced outside. Freedom waited just beyond those doors. Her hand twitched toward the exit, but something held her back. What would she do out there? Where would she go? Who would she be? The doors hissed shut. The train resumed its journey. It was then Claire noticed she wasn't alone. Murmurs drifted around her, soft at first, then growing in clarity. Not directed at her, but about her. She's always too sensitive. She wanted it, otherwise why stay so long? No one else will put up with her. Claire's stomach tightened. Those words, they'd all been spoken to her before. By him. By her mother. By the friends who drifted away. The voices continued. Familiar, yet disembodied. She peered around the car, but couldn't make out distinct figures. Just shadowy outlines in the seats around her. The train slowed again. through the windows. Claire recognized the intersection near her apartment. Relief flooded through her. She rushed to the door, grabbed the handle, pulled. Nothing. She pulled harder, then slammed her palms against the door. "You said I could leave," she shouted. The conductor appeared beside her, unfazed. "You can," he said simply, "whenever you want." The train lurched forward again, leaving the familiar intersection behind. Now the murmurs grew darker. Arguments, slurs, threats. One voice cracked. "Maybe if she listened for once, I wouldn't have to shout." Another sneered. "She made me do it. It was for her own good." Claire covered her ears, but the voices seeped through her fingers into her mind, echoing everything she'd been told for years, that she was worthless, that she deserved what happened, that she had earned her pain. Panic rose in her chest, constricting her lungs. She stumbled to her feet, pushed forward to the next car, seeking escape. Each car seemed identical. The same velvet seats, the same shadowy passengers, the same whispered cruelties. The train slowed again. Outside. Something impossible, her childhood bedroom. The pink wallpaper she'd begged for at 8. The stuffed rabbit with one eye. She ran to the exit, desperate now, pulled the handle with all her strength. Locked! "Whenever you wish," the conductor said from behind her. Claire turned, fury replacing fear. "Stop saying that!" "The doors are locked!" He simply smiled and melted back into the shadows. Claire retreated to the rear of the train, desperate to find a way out. The murmurs followed, louder, crueler. The air turned cold, goosebumps prickling her skin despite the heat that had comforted her before. She opened the last door and stepped into a gallery of faded portraits. All women, each face strangely blurred, as if captured mid-motion. Dozens of them lined the walls, their identities ghosted away, their postures hauntingly familiar. Quiet, contained, small. She turned, and the conductor was waiting. "You're free to exit at the next stop," he said, the same reassuring smile on his lips. Claire stared at him, truly seeing him for the first time, his perfect uniform, his empty eyes, his outstretched hand, waiting for something. "I don't have a ticket," she said slowly. He paused, then smiled with something new in his eyes. "Something. Hungry. In that case, I'm afraid you'll have to disembark at the next stop." The train began to slow. Claire's heart pounded. Would she become one of the portraits? Another blurred face? The brakes squealed. The train halted at a wet, cracked subway platform, the exact place she'd entered. The doors hissed open. Claire didn't hesitate. She sprinted out, past the conductor's startled gaze, into the mossy tunnel, up the crumbling stairs, through the rain that still poured from an unforgiving sky. Her lungs burned, her legs screamed. But she didn't stop until bright lights appeared ahead, a police station. Blue and red lights pulsed through the storm. She burst through the doors, drenched and shaking. A female desk sergeant looked up, concern softening her features as she took in Claire's soaked clothes, her bruised cheek, her wild eyes. Claire blurted it out before she could reconsider. "My boyfriend hit me. He threw me out of the car." The sergeant moved instantly. A blanket, a gentle hand, a seat. "You're safe now," the sergeant said. Claire sank into the chair and realized the voices had stopped. The whispers that had followed her for years silenced by 4 simple words. "My boyfriend hit me." The truth. For the first time in longer than she could remember, Claire felt something shift inside her. Not comfort, not yet, but possibility. The chance that maybe, just maybe, there was a path forward that didn't include fear. We all ride trains of our own design, following tracks laid by others, convinced the journey must continue, no matter the cost. But even the most relentless locomotive must eventually stop. And in that moment of stillness, we face our most profound choice: to remain seated, or to finally, bravely step onto the platform of our own liberation. In the dusty corners of abandoned houses lie artifacts of forgotten times, objects that should remain undisturbed. For one young woman seeking fame, an old journal becomes not just a prop, but a doorway. Tonight, we invite you to a glimpse into madness, where the price of virtual fame is measured in actual souls. The attic air hung thick, decades of dust suspended in shafts of gray light that struggled through the nailed-shut windows. Amber Cates adjusted her ring light, squinting at her phone screen. Perfect. just enough of the sheet-covered furniture and cobwebbed corners to look authentically creepy. Welcome back to another episode of Places I Shouldn't Be. Her voice bright, teasing. Today we're exploring my dead grandfather's super creepy Victorian mansion. Mom thinks I'm helping clean. She made exaggerated air quotes, but really I'm bringing you guys the best haunted house tour ever. The comments began to scroll immediately. This place is giving me chills. Check under the sheets. Is that a shadow moving behind you? Amber turned dramatically, her practiced scream morphing into laughter. Guys, stop! You're freaking me out. She wasn't freaked out. Not really. Grandfather Morris had always been strange, reclusive. The house had gone neglected for decades before his death 3 weeks ago. Now it was just a chore. This dusty, forgotten place full of junk her mother insisted they sort through. Let's see what's hiding up here. She yanked a yellowed sheet off what appeared to be an old trunk. The brass fixtures were tarnished almost black, but the lock, ornate, beautiful. Strange symbols curved around its edges. Ooh, treasure chest. Amber knelt beside it. Locked, of course. She rummaged in her jacket pocket and pulled out a small toolkit. It's amazing what you can learn if you spend enough time on YouTube. Impressed yet? 2 minutes of fumbling later, the lock clicked open. The trunk's contents were disappointing at first. Papers, old letters bundled with faded ribbon, a small wooden box with cuff links, but beneath it all, a leather-bound journal, cracked with age, but somehow untouched by the dust that covered everything else. Grandpa's diary, maybe? She lifted it gently. Let's see if the old man had any secrets worth knowing. The journal was sealed with wax, imprinted with the same strange symbols as the lock. Across the cover, written in faded red ink that seemed too bright, "Do not open. It must be kept inside." Amber traced the warning with her finger. Well, that's not sketchy at all. The comment section exploded. Open it. Open it. Open it. This is how horror movies start, girl. Rip Amber's soul. Let's see if Grandpa was hiding love letters or something embarrassing. She broke the seal, a dramatic crack. I bet this is filled with really bad poetry. The journal fell open to a page dated October 17th, 1923, the handwriting, tight, controlled, nothing like her mother's shaky scrawl. The welcoming rite remains unfinished. The visitor from beneath the skyless sea grows impatient. I have given it a temporary vessel, but it demands more. Always more. Amber looked up at her phone, eyebrows raised. Okay, not love letters. More like bad Lovecraft fanfiction? She flipped forward several pages. The binding is incomplete. It requires voices, multiple voices. A chorus would be ideal, but technology fails me. For now, I alone must be its keeper. Amber leaned in. Her voice dropped to a stage whisper. This is actually perfect content. Listen to this part. It speaks to me between the lines, black words on the page that I never wrote. Its voice is cold, hungry. It promises that when enough have spoken its words aloud, the transformation will begin. The ring light flickered. Once, twice. The image on her live stream cut to black. 3 seconds. Total silence. When the video returned, the chat exploded. WTF was that thing behind her? Is this an ARG? Play more. This is crazy. Amber blinked at the screen. What are you guys talking about? She scrolled through the comments, frowning. My light just glitched. There's nothing. She paused, eyes scanning the attic behind her on screen. Nothing here. She turned the page. In frantic, jagged letters covering the entire surface, do not read aloud. It listens. Amber stared at the warning, flat, deadpan, then forced a nervous laugh. Oh, well, that would have been nice to know 1 page ago. Classic horror movie moment, right? Guess I'm the dumb girl with the flashlight now. Her audience responded instantly, laughing emojis, skull emojis, but something was wrong. The attic was growing darker, and not just from the flickering light. Despite the afternoon sun outside, shadows pressed closer, thicker, heavier. A photograph slipped from the journal, yellowed, edges curled, a boy, maybe 12, standing in what was unmistakably this very attic. His eyes, wrong, too dark, too empty, and behind him, barely visible. A hunched silhouette, hands elongated into claw-like fingers. Amber swallowed. Okay, this is actually creepy. She flipped to the final written page. Symbols, strange shapes, followed by Latin. Her high school Latin had been forgettable, but she tried anyway. mouthing the syllables. Vocavite tenebris, venite ad lucem, multiplicamini per. The ring light exploded, a sharp pop, a shower of sparks, darkness. Static filled the stream, crackling, buzzing, then a deep breath. Wet, too close. Not Amber's. The live stream cut to black. Amber gasped, fumbling with her phone flashlight. Her hands shook. The attic door had swung shut. Locked. From the outside? "Mom?" she called out. "Very funny, let me out!" No answer, just the creak of wood beneath her feet. Service bars still showed on her phone. She typed quickly, "Trapped in attic, door stuck," no response. She called, voicemail, tried her friends, nothing. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "This isn't happening. This is not happening." The flashlight cast grotesque shadows across the attic walls. The journal lay open, where she dropped it. Amber knelt beside it, staring. The entries were different. The dates jumped, decades apart, different handwriting. And then her grandfather's, May 3rd, 1986, tried burning it, wouldn't catch, pages cold even in the fire. May 10th, 1986, locked it away. The house, too, can't destroy what it's bound to, but it can't leave the attic while the journal is sealed. June 28th, 1986, it wants to be read, wants to be shared. It grows through audience. His final entry, "Let the house rot, let it die with me." Amber's phone chimed. A notification, her live stream, had uploaded automatically, even after the disconnect, already at 10,000 views. Comments pouring in. "Best horror performance I've seen. That thing in the background looks so real. The way the light exploded." Direct messages flooded her inbox. Most were from regular followers checking in, but one account at Eyes Open 1923 sent messages that made her stomach twist. "You have to finish it. We're all waiting. It's already started." Amber stared at the screen. Her fingers hovered, trembling. She should warn people. She had to. This wasn't a performance. Whatever was happening, it was real. Her thumb hovered over the Go Live button. 100,000 views, 200,000. The numbers pulsed on screen like a heartbeat. The power in numbers, the attention, the pull. "I have to warn them," she whispered. "I need to explain." But deep inside, she knew, that itch behind her eyes, that flutter in her throat, the buzz of being seen. She pressed the button. "Hey guys," she said as the new stream connected. "So that got intense. I need to explain what's happening." The viewer count surged. 300,000. 500. "I found something in this journal, something dangerous. Watch closely." She held up the book. New pages were writing themselves. Black ink spreading like spilled blood. This isn't a joke. This isn't... Her eyes locked on the mirror across the attic and froze. Her reflection wasn't right. Her mouth was moving wrong, twitching at the corners, her eyes, blackness, spreading outward where white should be. The attic shifted. The walls bent inward. Something massive stirred in the farthest corner, unfolding like origami in reverse. Then she heard it, her own voice echoing back at her, but she wasn't speaking. It needs audience, realization struck, not worship, not sacrifice. Witnesses. The journal wasn't a prison, it was a stage. And now that the ritual had been shared, every viewer, every screen, every echo became a new journal. Amber looked down, the ink now forming a web, a vast diagram, dozens, then hundreds, thousands of tiny nodes branching outward. Each one a viewer, each one now part of the structure, feeding it, supporting it, spreading it. The monster had never been trapped in the attic. It had been contained. The journal was its shell. And now it was in every home, every stream, every feed, every screen. Amber turned to the camera, her face frozen in a grin that stretched too wide. Her eyes, twin voids. Don't forget to share. The screen cut to static. The next day, Lena Porter climbed the creaking steps of the old Victorian house. Amber wasn't answering texts, wouldn't pick up her phone, and everyone online was talking about her live streams. The front door swung open, unlocked. Dust hung in the still air, heavy, like something waiting. "Amber?" Lena called out. Nothing. She pulled out her phone, called again. Faint. She heard it, Amber's ringtone, coming from above. Lena bolted up the stairs, heartbeat pounding, mouth dry. The attic door stood wide open, still, silent, inside. Boxes, sheet-covered furniture, dust thick on every surface. Then she saw it, Amber's phone lying on the floor, screen cracked, still glowing. Amber, Amber, where are you? Elsewhere, everywhere, on buses, in bedrooms, in schools and boardrooms. People watched, replay after replay. Some laughed, some screamed, some changed. A trend emerged. Ink challenge. Teenagers reading lines aloud, recreating Amber's performance, pretending it was just fiction, pretending they were safe, but they didn't know. They were reading real pages now, pages that hadn't existed before, until they did, until they read them. Words manifesting on phones, on screens in ink and code. The entity no longer needed a house, no longer needed Amber. It had found something better. It had millions, and it was still growing. And so concludes the tale of a girl who sought only fleeting fame, but found eternal notoriety instead. A cautionary verse for those who hunger for attention in the digital age. For some audiences aren't merely watching, they're waiting, hungry, in the shadows between your screen and your soul.